Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and today we are going to discuss with you this horrible aviation accident that happened to this Galaxy C5, absolutely huge airplane that somehow hit the ground. As you can see, the nose was separated, the tailpipe also separated, and today we're going to discuss with you, we're going to investigate what caused that crash to happen. Stay tuned. Let's move to some kind of websites we have here. Just want to show you that accident happened on 3rd of Monday, 3rd of April 2006 to Lockheed Martin C5 Bravo Galaxy airplane. It's absolutely massive. It's similar to Ruslan airplane, just a little bit lighter, but it may take almost the same weight, the same payload, I would say. So as you can see, 0 fatalities. That is why we have this video on investigation with you today, because there are 0 fatalities. We're not discussing the fatal accidents on my channel, we're discussing just normal accidents. And I have this video over here. This is the video animation, C5 accident animation with all the instruments we have. And now I'll just put the headset on and we're gonna start our investigation process. C5 is quite old airplane. It's in service for many years. It was designed later in the late 60s and is in service, I think, from 1970. So first year of operation. And let's see what we have. N1, it's the fan rotation speed in percent, throttle angle, it's your thrust lever position angle, gear down, as you may see, it's already down, distance to go to threshold, I think, feet below puppy or glide slope. And we have angle of attack, vertical speed, air speed, what is this, radio altitude, radio height, I would say, flaps in percentage. What had happened to that airplane? Well, I'll give you some information before we go. They had some problems with engine. They had a reverser unlock indication during the flight, during initial climb. That is why they had engine number 2 reverse unlock indication. So reverser we need just to stop the airplane, just to decelerate after landing roll. And if you have it during a flight, of course, as well as on Boeing 737, you need to shut down that engine because you have the opposite thrust. You don't need it during your flight. You need the plus thrust to fly ahead. So they shut down the engine. As you may see, they reduce the thrust lever, the throttle angle over here. So they reduced the thrust lever and decided to divert to airport Dover Airport. The crew is professionals, so they were professionals, so they decided to divert to this airport. So let's start. So let's.
4059 heavy double tower wind 170 at 5 runway 32 clear to land.
We don't have text here, so we only may hear what they say. And the air traffic controller, the tower, say that wind is 170 at 5, clear to land runway 32. Runway 32 is quite long for that Dover airfield. It's 12,000 feet long, but they had the choices, so they decided to go visual for runway 32 because it's longer, and they, of course, they're heavyweight, just airborne and climb. They had this problem, so they decided to go back. They're very heavy with lots of fuel and payload, so they decided to choose the longer runway but without ILS system, so they continue fly visual. This line over here is the normal 3 degrees glide slope, but actually that runway hadn't had any kind of ILS system at that day working. Nowadays, I don't know why. I don't know if it's working or not, but that day they continued just visually. The option was runway 19, and air traffic control just said wind 170 degrees at 5, so they had some kind of tailwind component, but 5 knots, it's really not that a lot of wind. So they may continue. Sorry guys.
Clear to land, reach 4059.
Engineer, you've referenced the landing with one or more engine inoperative, right? We've covered all the items that we need to cover. Our brake temp's going to be fairly hot, I'm sure.
The crew here took brake temperature as an issue because the day before they were briefed with the other accident happened to the same airport, to the same aircraft type 1 year before. So the other aircraft, C5, was landing heavy and with lots of fuel and payload as in their circumstances, and they landed on runway 19. They overflown the runway a little bit, they put the brakes very hard, but in the end they excurred the runway, they overrun the runway, and brakes and wheels got fire and they had to evacuate from that airplane. I don't know whether airplane sustained some kind of huge damage, but anyway they were briefed with that accident just 1 day before the flight, so they were very concentrated on brakes temperature. That is why they choose the other runway.
Just let me know if we got to clear the runway and overlap if we can taxi.
I'll calculate.
Okay, just put it firmly on the ground.
For landing.
We don't need a smooth touchdown.
Roger.
Just put this vehicle on the ground, we don't need the smooth touchdown. He was speaking like this maybe because they were just afraid to overfly the touchdown zone as the other crew did 1 year ago.
For landing checklist. Landing gear.
Down in a line, co-pop.
No problem.
Sorry guys, I want to stop here. They are doing landing checklist. So the flaps are 40% now. That's exact normal position if you have one engine failure, because if you extend them more, you'll have lots of drag. Okay, so at some point, for example, for Boeing 737, which I fly, you extend the flaps down to 15 degrees. That will provide you with good lift and proper landing speed with single engine operation, because on Boeing 737 we have two engines, so in case you have engine failure, the flaps 15 is enough for you. Of course, the landing distance is longer because you have less flaps than usual and more speed, but in their case, if they had the engine failure, as they had to shut down it, they had to stop at flaps 40. But let's see what happens. They continue visually and they already below the glide slope.
1,000 to go.
40% extend.
It's not the girl 1,000 to go, it's a automatic system.
EGBWS.
Last landing.
So at some point, then you descend according to your profile. You need to reduce the thrust, as they are doing right now, as you may see here. So they start to reduce the thrust to idle,
Landing.
just not to gain some extra speed. You need to decelerate for your approach speed. That is why usually when you're on the glide and you're before the glide, you want to extend the flaps. I don't know why they extend the flaps, but anyway, you reduce the thrust. So that's what they did. You see the throttle is going down, throttle levers, and the fan rotation speed and percentage also going down, and they start to extend the flaps. I don't know why it was done by mistake, because in their configuration they should have landed with flaps 40%, but they extend it again.
It's checked.
Defensive system.
All pop.
Okay, flaps are
Thanks. Approach speed is 146.
almost full, as you can see.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's boxes.
Can you select landing, please?
N1, N2.
And as you can see what happened, they had engine number 2 problem, as I briefed you before. So here is the problem with engine number 2. The flight engineer is using the thrust levers on this airplane. So as you can see, number 2 is at idle, everything is more normal, but then they retract everything to idle just before descent here.
Down in a line, co-pop.
No problem.
So as you may see
1,000 to go.
here
40%
again,
extend.
they retract the throttle
Last
to
landing.
idle, but then swap
Landing.
the throttle. So this engine is not working. See, engine number 2 is not working, but flight engineer, not the flight engineer, but the
Thanks. Approach speed
co-pilot
is 146.
was confused with the thrust levers,
N1, N2, and
and he put
No, would you select?
the wrong engine of this airplane. So you can see this
Last landing.
very quick swap occurred.
Landing.
So they reduced the idle,
Flaps landing.
and
Landing.
he just increased the wrong engine. So this engine is inoperative. This engine is operative. But the first officer was confused, they were in a rush, and now they have just two engines working. So
Would you select it on the...
this engine is perfectly working over here,
It is. Check your speed. Is it really?
but they start to communicate too much inside the crew. No one pays attention on what is happening to the engine. So they just swapped the throttle. So first officer just swapped the throttle because everyone was in a rush. I know why, but a commander for that flight was taking the first officer's seat, so I think he was responsible for that swap occurrence. And of course, for heavy airplane, for a highly loaded airplane, two engines are not enough to keep normal descent rate, 30 degrees glide slope rate of descent. And they were already below the glide slope, and even before reaching 1000 feet, because they were doing visual approach. So yeah, they took the wrong engine to its operating position, but no one sees what is happening. Flight engineers were busy talking. That's why
D down and check your speed. Is it really?
Check
it has a checkerboard on it.
lots of talking.
Little slow.
Checkerboard?
Yeah, I'll show you. With the flaps extended and all.
Oh,
Slow.
Yeah,
it's over here?
pretty cool. Up here.
We're heavy.
Not pretty good. It's their mistake to extend the flaps because they were in a rush to return back. I don't know why, because with three engines working, even on a highly loaded airplane, you can make some orbits. You need to prepare this aircraft because they haven't done anything, none of the checklists except normal checklists as far as I know according to the article. So they were in a rush to return back. Some of the flight engineers were not even aware that they were at the glide slope profile, so
Flaps 40, please.
completely
Disregard, don't do
falsely
that yet.
surround.
Yep. Flaps 40, please.
Flaps 40 is
Disregard, don't do that
maximum
yet.
position.
Roger, trying to correct.
You need
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing 40 anyway.
speed is dropping, of course, because you have
162.
two engines
Tire
here.
limit's 176.
What are you saying?
Why aren't we doing 40?
No one
we're
sees
not.
that
No,
they
we
put
were.
the wrong
No,
engine,
Should be.
I know.
wrong engine up.
Just
So
adjust
this
it.
one is not
Too late now.
not working, and the
I
others
don't even know where we are.
Final.
Shit, right here.
Guys, I'm concerned.
are at maximum
We got
RPM.
nothing left.
Oh, now they're increasing the thrust but reducing it.
We are,
You see this angle of attack, you see how far it will go. At 18 degrees it will stall. The speed is very low. You see 20, so the stall.
bringing out a stick shaker.
Stick shaker, of course.
Stall. Stall. Stall.
So yeah, this tail section, the empennage just separated, the nose separated. In a way, this aircraft was taking not so many significant, I would say, damage to explode. But anyway, they touched down the ground with 35G. It's quite a lot, and luckily they survived. They didn't catch any fire. They didn't burst into flames, and they were very lucky. Let's see it again all the way, guys, because I'm too much talkative today.
At 5, runway 32, clear to land.
Clear to land, reach 4059.
Just 2 minutes.
Engineer, you've referenced the landing with one or more engine inoperative, right? We've covered all the items that we need to cover. Our brake temp's going to be fairly hot, I'm sure. Just let me know if we got to clear the runway and overlap if we can taxi.
I'll calculate.
Okay, just put it firmly on the ground.
Before landing.
We don't need a smooth touchdown.
Before landing, checklist.
Before landing checklist. Landing gear.
Down in a line, co-pop.
Down pilot.
Flaps and slats.
1,000 to go.
So
40% extension.
retarding the thrust levers.
EGBWS.
They were busy with the landing checklist. That is why no one paid attention on what happened to this
Flaps
throttle
landing.
Flaps. Landing.
swap,
Brake pressure.
flaps extension.
It's checked.
Defense assist.
All pop.
Off engineer before landing checklist completed.
Thanks. Approach speed is 146.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's boxes
Can you
around
select landing,
N1,
please?
N2, and TIT.
Do you select?
I didn't know that.
No, would you select it on the?
And too much
Good deal to
topic.
put
Cockpit.
TFD down
It
and
is.
check your speed.
Is it really?
It has a
Speed
checkerboard
reducing.
on it.
Little slow.
Checkerboard?
Yeah, I'll show you. With the flaps extended and all.
Oh,
Power.
Slow.
Yeah,
so we're here?
pretty cool. Up here.
Or heavy.
Flaps 40, please. Disregard. Don't do that yet.
And you're 10 knots.
Roger. Trying to correct.
Hey, I don't know why we're doing 40 anyway.
Speed. Heavyweight, isn't it?
162. Tire limit's 176.
What do you
They
say?
were still concerned
Why
about
aren't we
the
doing
tires at
45?
that
Oh, we're
point.
not? Oh, I
No.
thought we were.
No, he's got.
Should be.
I know.
What you suggested. Too late now, I guess.
And as you can see, the speed
I don't
is
even know
dropping
where we
here,
are.
just on the bottom.
Ah, shit. We're here.
Guys, I'm concerned.
Airspeed.
We got nothing left.
Bring the flaps up.
Bring the flaps up.
If you take the flaps up at this speed, you'll stall, of course. So the point is just not to extend them that much, and maybe 2 engines would be enough to maintain this huge airplane.
We are.
Huge
Bring it out of stick
angle
checker.
of attack angle.
Stall. Stall.
Oh,
Stall.
yeah. Hard to see, but everyone survived, and I'm happy about it. Okay, my friends, let's discuss with you what caused that accident to happen. What were the main reasons, the main causes? Well, the first, of course, you may say it's the failure of the reverse system, reverse unlock in flight. Yeah, of course, it's a maintenance. It's one of the main causes of that crash. But as a crew members, we are trained, and that crew also was trained to deal with that situation. And as well as on Boeing 737, where we have just 2 engines, of course, if we have reverse unlock, we're also trained to deal with that. But that crew decided just to turn back, not going through all the checklist process, and to land at the airport. They were in a rush. On their place, you would rather go to the checklist procedures, because the 3 operative engines is more than enough to maintain this airplane airborne. That is why don't rush in case you have some situations. Follow the procedure. The second main cause for that crash, of course, is a throttle swap. They retarded all the thrust levers and put back the wrong one. The inoperative engine was at the working place, the working engine was at idle. And of course, it's a mistake. All humans do mistakes, but that mistake may have been corrected if they were not in a rush in their circumstances. So the flight engineers were confused, they were in a rush, diverting just right back to Dover Airport for landing. The third main cause for that crash is to land with flaps, as we saw, flaps 90%. So they should have landed with flaps 40%, which will give them more speed, of course, more landing distance, but a good performance capability, because by increasing the flaps, you also increase the drag. That is why they stalled the airplane. They were unable to maintain the proper speed for that approach with the 2 engines operative. And the main reason number 4, as I told you many times in this video, the crew resource management, the CRM, the teamwork was at a quite low level throughout their descent and attempt to land in Dover Airport. So some of the crew members were not aware of what the pilots are doing, what the flight engineers are doing. Some of the flight engineers were not used as a backup source for the captain to correct the pilot mistakes at the proper way. So that's why they swapped the throttle and no one corrected that. And again, no one told about the flaps configuration, about all the procedures that they may have to do before they land this airplane. So everything should be corrected according to non-standard QRH procedures, where you will see this landing flaps position of 40% for your landing. So not following the standard and non-standard procedures will lead you to that types of accidents. So please follow your airplane manuals, follow your airlines manuals, and maintain good CRM inside your crew, because as you have seen, they put lots of attention on brake temperature, but in the end they had different issues. Lots of talking about brake temperature, about other things, but not concentrating on real issues that all the crew members should be concerned of. It was too late to recognize that causes, and it was inevitable to land this airplane earlier than they landed it. So they were lucky to survive this accident. Thank you very much, guys, for seeing me. It was a break for me for about 10 days. Sorry, I was changing my home position, changing my apartments for different location. That is why I was unable to film the new videos. But anyway, you are awesome guy because you are watching me. That is why you need to follow Awesome Guy Checklist. First, like this video, then subscribe to my channel, then ring the bell, whatever it means. Thank you very much for watching this video and have a great time.